Talking to myself, you know. Hey. I'm having some internal issues getting your ad live. I talked with Gerald. I have possibly a solution for it, so I will work on that when we get off of here.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Hi, Tiffany.
Good morning. Hi, Mark.
Hello, good morning.
Now, Mark, I know you have taken a dive into Command, but I'm curious how far you've gotten with it.
I don't know. I mean, I move all my leads over there to it. I put notes in on the leads. I set up a referral through Command.
Wonderful. It sounds like you're, taking a pretty significant dive. So I think you'll be able to grasp everything that we're dealing with. I just wanted to make sure that you were going to be able to follow along.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I figured out you can't really mess it up. You just got to get in there and
Right.
figure out stuff, you know. So, and I've looked and seen how you can set up the smart plans for them and things like that. So,
Right. Another thing that we're going to talk about today is Trello, and that's new to our team. So you definitely won't be the only person that hasn't experienced it yet. What it is a checklist, and it's mostly so that I know what in the heck is due when, just because we're dealing with so many properties at a time. But when it's a deal that you're part of, you'll be able to connect your calendar to it, and it'll, like a day, I have it set for like 20 hours before something's due to remind us. That way we have time to work on it if it's slipped our minds.
okay, I got you. Yeah, I have that set up. I did it initially, but I haven't used it.
Now, Twilio is the text messaging service. That's probably what you have set up. And I honestly have not taken a dive into it other than the meeting where Tiffany showed us how to send a text message 50 people at a time.
Oh, okay. What was you saying the first name was?
Trello, Trello.
Oh, okay, Trello.
Good morning, Dustin and Max.
Hello.
Let's see.
I just shot Dan Bolin a message, and Rick is on a call, I think.
Okay.
He's finishing up.
Dan messaged back earlier asking what time, and I told him 10, so.
Yeah, he definitely needs to get on here, so give it just a couple
Yes,
seconds
ma'am.
here.
And this is recording, so our people that are missing it, I'll send out a link so that they can at least, skip through the chatter. And am I hard to hear? Do I need to be closer?
I'm hearing you fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Max said thumbs up. Okay.
Dan. All right, do you want, Elise, do you want us to be in Command, or you're going to share a screen with us?
I'm going to share my screen.
One of the things I'd like for you to do, oh crud, I just lost everybody. How did that happen? Okay, oh, okay. I want to make sure everybody's DocuSign is hooked up to Elise, if we can walk everybody through that, because this is the reason part of the reason we're doing this is not only are Rick and I have been learning this with you, if you're going to want to get paid, you're going to need to do it through Command. Hey, Dustin, did you just do your last transaction through Command, or where did you do yours at?
Yes, I've done everything through Command.
Perfect. Well, you might be able to help us then today if you
The Four
see
Seasons
something.
Realty people didn't learn anything other than Command because we were onboarded within a month of the Market Center being changed over. So they didn't want to teach us both and confuse them.
Okay, so Max and Mark, if you guys write any contracts going forward, we're going to have to do it through DocuSign. Now, there is a way, kind of, Martin thinks there's a way for us to do .loop through Command. Elise and I found some hiccups with that, but he thinks yesterday after speaking with him that there is a way to overcome that. And maybe he'll have an answer. He's going to hop on here at some point.
Okay, let's see here.
But I'll let you take it, Elise.
Okay.
I would just say unless you have some type of advantage over using .loop, you're still going to be doing sort of two steps if you're using two systems. So unless there's some real advantage of .loop, you're probably going to benefit from just using one system.
Well, Elise, back up and show him where if you start a transaction, you have the choice of .loop or DocuSign. And see, I can do .loop super fast, Dustin. So that's the advantage for me or Jordan Salisbury or us that have already been using it. Is she's going to show you here in a second. We have the choice of doing .loop or DocuSign up there at the top when you start a transaction. The problem Elise and I ran into is they're not. You start it there, but if you do anything through .loop, it doesn't make its way into Command. And that's a problem. So that's why we're backing all the way back up and going back to learn DocuSign.
Well, right. I've seen Martin show this before, and he said you had to start with the .loop, and if that's fine, and if it links and you start it that way. But again, in between, just like you're saying, when you're using two systems, you're always going to have issues with imports. If it goes beyond starting with the typical functions that you were doing in .loop.
Well, you would think, though, that if you have the option of starting in .loop or DocuSign, because DocuSign is keeping everything right there, but .loop, if you do it, then you start sending stuff out, it doesn't connect, it doesn't sync like it should, like DocuSign does with Command, but it gives you the option to use one or the other. So we thought, oh, it'll link, but it's not. But DocuSign is in there. It's kind of like the same thing, so bottom line, they want us to use DocuSign, so that's why it's set up that way.
Okay, so Mark, you and I may have to backtrack a little bit, but what I did was I have a dummy account called Jane Doe. I created a listing opportunity for Jane Doe. We're going to start a transaction now because we're on a team. Tiffany's name gets listed as listing agent 1, and then I'm going to be listing agent 2. Confirm and sync. And now it's going to open up my DocuSign because mine's already created, but it should, let me exit out of this one. It should be creating its own room. There we go. It created its own room automatically. So that's part of why you want to have your DocuSign connected to your Command. And I can show you guys where to do that real quick. In order to do that, you need to go to where your name's listed in the top right. You go to settings. And Mark, this is where we connected your Facebook the other day. DocuSign right here. This button will be blue and it'll say connect account. Okay? Everybody good on that? Let me open this up to where I can see everyone.
Sorry, yeah, I got it.
Max, is yours hooked up? Max Mailer.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay. Max and Rick, it would be extremely beneficial if I could have both of your login information for Command and for DocuSign. Should we ever have any problems that need troubleshooted, then I can go in there and not have to have you guys standing by to walk through the troubleshooting. I can just run my laptop upstairs to Gerald and he can do all the troubleshooting behind the scenes for us. Plus, then when you have leads through Command that we're doing transactions with, if I can log in and add their information to your Command instead of Tiffany's, that gives you possession on a higher range, if that makes sense. Okay, so we're going to go back to Command here. What are some questions that you guys have? We'll leave something in the chat. I'll text you my stuff, Max said.
Yeah, he'll text you your.
Oh, the login info. Okay.
Maybe at least what you might just quickly do is just take them like you were doing. You created an opportunity, take them step by step now, how you would now go into documents and grab the documents and pull those in. Because this will give them perspective of how to step through it, which Tiffany was just saying. It doesn't matter if you're using DocuSign or whatever the other one was. You'll see how it's done here, and then they can correlate the difference.
Okay, and this is being recorded, so I will send a link to everyone once it's on YouTube. It'll be on the Keller Williams YouTube channel. So, okay, perfect. I will start there. We're going to go to contacts. And I usually always start by typing in their name in the search bar to make sure that they are uploaded to Command first. Just because there's a lot that I deal with that aren't in my Command. I'm not, you know, when they're Rick's lead, I'm in Tiffany's Command. So I don't know if they're already in through Rick or not. So I have to search for these people most of the time to make sure that there's not already an opportunity created. Because when we create multiples, then we have to make one be listed as a transaction that didn't happen. Basically, it fell through for some reason is the way that it looks statistically through Command, and you want to try to eliminate that as much as possible. So we can see that Jane Doe's already been updated. Now you can get to opportunities two ways. You can go to opportunities right here after you click on her name and see that her opportunities are right there. Or you can go on the left side to the two handshaking. Now, if you press the big red KW in the corner, it should expand everything out to where you can see the titles with it. Goodness gracious. I know this by the icons just because I'm in it all day, every day. So we're going to go to opportunities. Now, unless any of you start dealing with property management or basically just property management, we're going to ignore this bottom purple line because it's only for leases, and we don't really deal with that dominantly in our real estate world. You'll also find some other statistics here at the bottom. I am not licensed, so I don't have any deals running through my Command. So all of this is blank for me, but when I start having activity, I'll be able to track the volume that I'm averaging every month and see my improvement or my weaknesses through plain numbers. Okay, these other two lines, the green and the red, are listings and buyers. Listings means that this is a property that you have listed that is either in cultivation, set an appointment for a listing appointment, you have it active on the MLS, you now have it under contract, and you have it closed. The same goes for buyers. So if you have a buyer's showing appointment, you would have them in the red line under appointment right here. Now, because of the deal that we just created for Jane Doe, we made that a cultivate. So where my little flower pot is under listings, under cultivate, there is a number 1 there. If you look at Tiffany's, there's like 8 in under contract for buyers, because as a team, we're bringing the numbers in. So you can see that all the way through. Now, hers is kind of funny because under active, it says like 30, because all of the teams' dummy accounts are showing up as well. So that can kind of fool the numbers. Just if the numbers don't add up, just go in there and look to see how many dummy transactions you have, because that was something that was completely confusing me early on. I was like, who are all these people? Why does Dave Homiser have 3 deals under his own name? Okay, so here what I did was I clicked on the little flower pot icon, and you can see that that brings us to our little transaction card here, or opportunity card. Sorry, I'm used to transaction desk. And what we're going to do is we're going to say that this is already something that I have active. So we're going to click and hold, and we're going to drag it until the little box of active turns blue, and then we're going to let go. So now it's disappeared from the cultivate, but if we go to active, it's sitting in staging, which is the first part of active. Now let's say it's been a month or so. Of course, this market, it could be like 3 days, and we're now under contract. Beautiful. So now we need to go to under contract. Under contract is where there's some little hidden files here. So if you click anywhere on the page except for one of the contact cards, so we're going to click on inspections, and then we're going to use the arrows on our keyboard to the right. You can scroll this to the right some, and there's this little hidden file here called clear to close. That was recently uploaded in an update that they do. By the way, Command does updates every Tuesday. So if you are in Command on a Tuesday and things are acting strange, it is because they are pushing an update. So now that we're under contract, let me go back real quick.
All right.
I'm muting you. Oh, I have all the power now. Ah. Okay, so now that we're...
Sorry, everyone. My apologies.
You're in timeout. Mute yourself again. Now that we're under contract.
Guys, Dan Boland just asked for meeting ID. We don't have a meeting ID, do we? We just...
No, he just needs to type in the web address that I sent him.
Okay.
And then, I mean, if he really wants, he's been in Martin Richardson's personal meeting room before, so he should be able to select a drop-down arrow and get to it that way as well. So now that we're under contract with Jane Doe, we're going to select the little blue title there that had her name, and the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a address, just because the address is a key part in communication with every single deal that you do. When you talk to the other side, you're going to title that email the address of the property. When you talk to the lender or the title company, 9 times out of 10, it's not in reference to the name of the person that you're working with, but the property address. So you want to add that so that you can easily recognize the file. We're going to choose 40 Lighthouse Landing. And it didn't bring it up. Is that one 304? There it is. Okay, so I got that by searching for the street address, typing the street address in, and then underneath this blue search button, it's usually going to be on only my listings, which isn't going to bring anything up because you haven't tied anything to your account yet. So we need to select all listings, and now we can see that this is the Tiffany Servant listing on the BDAR board, whatever. So you will know that an address is tied to this opportunity by the address being up top next to the client's name. Have I lost anyone?
No, but they do understand if it's not our listing, they would just put the address in, correct? Everybody understands that. Mark, go ahead. You had a question.
No, I said, no, I'm good.
Okay.
It's one of these, another thing that would be real helpful when I do it the first time, to feel free.
Yep. And feel free to practice this. I mean, nobody's going to get a notification on their command that you've tied a property to this. So, if I would have used Priscilla Nick's property, she wouldn't have gotten a notification or anything. These are private. Even if it's in-house, they're still not getting a notification of it. So you can use any property that pulls up just to practice it if you want. So the first part, when you go under their name in the contact card, it will always bring you to details. Most of the time, this will just sync. It should fill itself out for the most part, just based off of information that you've already been putting in. We can see that it updated the property address here. The next thing is the seller profile. I don't know what this is for. I've never utilized it, and I'm sure that's because I'm not an agent. Maybe Martin can enlighten us as to what the seller profile is about.
Yeah, so the seller profile right now is a newer feature. It's basically going to show you if they've registered with your consumer platform. So if you took Jane Doe into one of your agents' apps or website and they actually registered and you captured their contact information, then it would show that. Also, if they're using your app, the app now includes a process guide that you can structure for buyers or sellers. So let's say that Tiffany is my new client and I'm going to help Tiffany buy a house. I say, hey, Tiffany, listen, as we're working through the process, I want you to download my app and you can use it for search. You can use it for favorites features. You can also still use the internet and everything else. But understand one of the most important features for you, Tiffany, is my buyer's guide, which will show you a step-by-step timeline as we go through the process. So at the Lake of the Ozarks, for instance, deck, and you can customize your own, you can go into the settings and customize your guides. So like deck and dock inspections are a thing at Lake of the Ozarks that probably aren't a thing at Jeff City. So your buyer's guide at Lake of the Ozarks, so that way Tiffany, my buyer, would be able to track through her app and say, oh, okay, we're under contract. Next comes dock inspection, other inspections. Next comes this. So it's all about communication. And guys, one of the reasons it's so important to utilize this is we talk all the time about setting expectations with our clients. This is how you do it. If I am working with Tiffany and Tiffany has an app that tells her how the process is going to go, that helps me keep Tiffany calm and steady as we navigate the waters, because your clients are going to feel more comfortable just having that timeline where they can say, oh, this is what's going on. And it gives you a chance to explain it. It gives you a chance to put in important stuff. So very critical.
Perfect. And it sounds like we could add that to include the utilities that I'm so great at being forgetful about. So then that would be another place to prompt me to remember to have that conversation with them.
Let me just do a plug here for our utilities, guys. And Dustin, you can use this too, and Dan. It makes you look very professional. It's called OneSource. Google it. And I think I've told you about it before, but OneSource, you send that connection to them and OneSource will connect all of their utilities for them. They'll tell them what's available at that address.
I haven't had a single complaint about it since I've been sending it out, which is in my mind kind of astonishing because usually you get complaints about everything. Anything about utilities from all of the times that I've moved with my mom, that to me is what stood out the most, is that was her headache, was utilities. So the fact that we haven't heard a complaint from anyone about it, and they send back thank yous for introducing them to it, speaks volumes to me. So documents is the next tab. This is mostly where you will see me working. Now, that does not mean that you cannot come in here and double check my work and submit documents yourself. I just need you to leave a note if you've done that, and I can show you where to leave a note at real quick. So right here at the top under listed, we have add new item, add comment, and attach multiple files. Add comment is where we're going to communicate back and forth on this outside of text messaging or something. So you can leave me notes in here. Karen Schulte will leave us notes in here. Connie will leave us notes in here. So let's go ahead and send Tiffany a note. You always use the @ sign first, and Command must have been reading my mind because Tiffany's name was the first one that showed up. But you can continue typing further, and if we wanted to add Rick to that, I'd probably only have to type an R and it would pull Rick up. So we may be able to add more than one person. It looks like we can, but it didn't want me to message anybody else but those people. So I will look more into that and see what that issue is about. But we can just type this.
Elise, my guess from looking at that list that came up is that has to do with being able to communicate with staff. If you look through that, those are all people that are added. Like we even added Tiffany to try to give her access to something that she wanted to access in the Market Center command. So it looks like that's a way for you to only communicate with staff based on that list, because that's pretty much Amy, Connie, Monica, all the MCA level admin access.
Yeah, but when I was in Tiffany's yesterday, I could send messages to our entire team through it. So I don't know if it's just part of how my account's connected to her team, because
Gotcha.
I'm only listed as admin and not agent. There may be something underlying in the background there about that, but you should be able to leave messages to anyone who's involved in the transaction through this, other than like the agent on the other side.
Okay, and then if you get a message, you guys, you'll know up that little bell, there'll be a red dot that somebody sent you a message that way too.
Yep, and anything that is on that bell, you should be getting notified on your Kelly app. Now, I had to go into my phone settings, go into app settings, find the Kelly app, dig way down deep into my settings on my phone, and turn notifications on. If you need help doing this, I'm more than happy to assist. Actually, it's probably a better Gerald thing, so call him because he knows all these phones like the back of his hand. I can barely get through my Pixel through the settings. But I did notice that by default, my notifications for that app were turned off.
I did receive a notification from you. It popped up on my screen that Elise just sent me a message. So
Perfect.
I didn't get a ding, but I did get a Kelly notification across my screen.
Wonderful. And your phone is one in particular that I want to look through the settings deep down inside there and figure out what in the world's going on with it, because I have a feeling yours is set up like mine somehow. So we have documents here, and I need to see what time it is. Martin, we need to be off here at 11. You're muted.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you show us how to add documents?
Okay. So documents, what we do is we'll say I'm uploading an MLS full display. Add file. Now, typically I do a drag and drop because I usually operate with 2 screens. I will generally have a file pulled up. We'll go to downloads. Do I have anything? I have an amendment I can upload to that. So we will minimize this. I need that to stay there. This is nonsense. Okay. I know you guys can't see all of your pictures lined up here, but I swear there's 5 pictures there. It's getting in my way. Okay, so it exited out, but we need to add a file, and then we'll pull up our file and we just drag and drop again. Now, you can do this a different way, and we'll assign it that way it uploads, and you can tell the difference between what's uploaded and what's not. It's pretty easy. It's either an add file button or it's in a title of what the document that you uploaded is. Now, if you press the 3 buttons, you can remove or print it from right there. And if we were to submit this to MC, which we will do in a minute, the buttons change to replace instead of remove. So let's try another document here. I want to show you this a different way.
Question. What is MC, submit to MC, what does that stand for?
Submit to MC means that we are submitting for compliance, which essentially means that that's going to either Karen or Connie. And if you don't know who those people are, I would entice you to join us on our trainings. And maybe look at that ALC book that you were given when you joined. But Karen and Connie are miracle workers in compliance. Let me tell you, they get through some stuff. So they are our best friends for keeping us out of real estate jail. We need them to tell us when a document doesn't have line 203 signed by Connie on a listing document, because she has to sign those. All of those are her listings in the end. When it's all said and done, her signature has to be on that line. I'm pretty sure that's the actual line too. I've seen that error a few times. So we're going to go through way number. Martin, did you want to say something? No?
No. MC stands for Market Center within Command. So submit to Market Center is what submit to MC means.
Okay, that's what I thought, but just checking.
I didn't even think about that. I just went straight for their names. So there's a couple more ways that we can upload here. The next way is to click on the box that's in the dotted line, and that's going to take us to our folders in our computer. From here, you can search any folder in your computer. It's the same as drag and drop. I prefer drag and drop because then I'm already in the folder that I need and I don't have to constantly open this window, but it does the same thing. It's really not any different. Uploads the same way, assign, there we go. Okay, the third way is going to be using DocuSign. Now, the way that that is different is we change this little dot from manual to DocuSign. And mine isn't connected because I don't have any documents in there. But if I had documents in this little file here that it automatically generated for us when we created the transaction, it would be showing us all of the documents that we have.
So wait, hit cancel there. Now, for most people, what you were showing was documents that were completed. But most of the time, you're going to have to complete the documents. So what you would do is hit cancel there. And you would go up there to go to transaction.
Right, which I went, instead of pressing go to transaction all the time, I just left my DocuSign room that we connected to earlier open.
But normally you're going to have to pull open your documents from go to transaction. You're going to have to go pick the document that you want and fill it out.
Yeah, and I'm going to dive into that in just a minute. I just wanted to show a quick few things. Tiffany, did you have something?
I was on the same page as Dustin. The go to the transaction thing is where we all go. So you can log in as me, but I will only have zip forms in there because I don't have the DocuSign, but you can log into DocuSign that way.
Okay, so we're going to select go to transaction, and it's going to automatically connect with mine. So we have Jane Doe room here. We're going to go to dashboards real quick. Dashboard is where you can see what's most recently happening in your rooms. So these are all documents that I've sent out. They're completed. It's important for me to see that. You'll also get emails just like on .loop. You'll get notifications on your phone if you have the app on your phone. You're very well informed with this, just the same as .loop. So here's my most recent rooms that I've opened. If I click on rooms at the top, it takes me to all of the rooms that I have created. I've never used Inbox, but I think that's where you can directly email a document to your DocuSign. Yeah, it has the email address up here. You can get a fax number as well. My docs, I think that's for if you have documents that you use, like if you have a contact form where you upload everyone, like each client's contact information into it, and you prefer that they fill that out, that can be done there. I've seen some people with these utility forms that aren't required at all by like anyone, but they like to have all the utility information right there. I'm assuming that that is where you would put things like that aren't necessarily required by the brokerage, but they're forms that you prefer to make the process easier. So from here, we can click on our initials or our picture at the top right, and we can go to switch to e-signature. This just takes us to a different part of DocuSign. So this is important because up at the top here, you're going to go to templates. In templates, it's going to give you an overview. You can use these for filters for easy access to exact templates that you need. And so what we can do here is say I wanted to list a condo at Lighthouse Point. There are certain documents that I need for a condo listing. I need the condo co-op. We need the condo writer for listing. I think those are mostly all the disclosures except for the 6-page seller's disclosure, the measurement disclaimer, and of course the listing contract. So what I can do is I can go in here and create a folder that has all of those things already. And then when you're in your DocuSign room, which is a different part of DocuSign, but when you're in your DocuSign room, you start that new transaction, you will be able to grab that folder and import it. That way those documents are ready for you to have filled out and signed by your clients. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and Elise, can you create those folders for us?
As soon as I have a Mars account, because I'm not licensed, so I don't have access to any documents on DocuSign.
Go in through me and create those accounts. Go in as me, not now, but
Yeah,
set those folders up. And then can you share them to even Dustin and Dan? So
I think I can, because there's a shared with me file here. So that leads me to believe that if somebody were to share it with me, it would show up here. So that leads me to believe that it would be vice versa. If I shared it with somebody, it would show up under the shared with me.
Yeah, if you can do that and then share that to all of our PC people and to our team, that would be helpful. That would be one of your action items as an admin this week when you get a minute, okay?
As soon as we get your number fixed so that we can access those documents.
That's right. I did send a message to Clark Kendall to try and figure out why my DocuSign. My name is correct in KW White Pages. It's the correct NERDS number. I have sent Clark a message. Hopefully we'll have an answer today.
So I think that I think I could do this through Rick or Max and share it with everyone still.
Perfect.
So we're
just all PC people
to get back to the DocuSign rooms, we're going to click on my initials here, and we're going to switch to rooms, which just takes us back to where DocuSign originally took us. Have I lost anyone? Dan, are you on here? Are you doing all
Yep.
right?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay,
Can you hear me? Yeah,
I can.
yeah. I think, like I say, you're going through this, and I've been doing a lot of DocuSign. It'd be nice someday while I'm actually entering one to have just a little one-on-one, you know. But yeah, we can do that down the road.
So the great thing about this is that this video will be on the YouTube channel, and you'll be
Oh,
able to
good.
go back and reference it, and then you can stop it and start it as you're going with each step. That way it's at your own pace. And
Got
then outside of that, if you get stuck with something, I know everyone on this is more than willing to help if you've already taken steps to research it on your own.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Elise, what YouTube channel should we be looking at? Can you share that so everybody has that?
I will. It's
what-
Keller Williams, Lake of the Ozarks, and I will share a link to it.
Yeah, it's Keller Williams Lake
Perfect.
of the Ozarks Realty. As soon as we get 100 subscribers, we get to get an easier name. So if you guys haven't subscribed yet, please do.
Okay, thank you.
I made my mom subscribe so that we can try to get to that. I was like, you want to be an agent? You better subscribe. Learn it now. So, let's go. I'm going to get out of here. We'll dive into DocuSigning documents on another one. I think we're going to run out of time if we try to conquer all of that.
I have a quick question for Martin. Something we were going to cover later is something called Trello, Martin, but in Command, I'm seeing some things in here that I don't think Trello, we may not need Trello, where we can track where our transactions at. By that, I mean, Trello was going to let us have an itemized update as to like the escrow check had been received by the title company. Where would we look at that and track that on each transaction within Command, Martin? Do you know?
Well, so we have the sales pipeline where you can track what's been going on through the deals, and you can customize the phase and the phase and the stage, and you can create phases and stages. So what I would say is the way they built it out is, you have that whatever it's called, cultivate, nurture, active, under contract. You can go in and edit those, and you can add phases within each stage, where if I'm under contract and one of the phases is earnest money delivered, you could have it and you can move it there. And really, once you customize those, just like with Trello, once you customize it to be the way you want your workflow to go, then it's just up to it's only as trackable as a lot of things. It works a lot better if you're putting the data in. So if you guys build it out that way and then you make sure they get moved from stage to stage, you should be able to track it.
Okay, thank you.
Now, it may not be as slick as Trello, as far as maybe notifications and things like that. If it's a matter of will it notify you if Elise changes the stage and things like that, that you might have to toy with some settings and things like that. But that would be what I would say is through the sales pipeline, you just customize your stages and your phases.
So here's a Trello for those of you that don't know what we're talking about. I have custom built this board to follow the checklist that Tiffany and Rick and I custom built for how a transaction coordinator is supposed to handle a transaction. So what I've done is I've created something that I can just click 2 buttons, and all I have to do now is enter the dates that everything's due, because not all of our transactions close in 38 days specifically. Some of them are 45, some of them are 30, some of them are 32. With the smart plan, what I ran into an issue was it's set for a certain amount of days. And I would have to change that for every single one. And that instantly, to my mind, was too much work. So with this, I go in, I set the days, I assigned each of these cards to a certain person. You can see that this one's set to Dave Homiser and myself, because we both need to be on top of tracking down the earnest money. if it's due within 24 hours of when this card is sent and we don't have it yet. Now with this, I know that this is already being mailed to the title company because we have our people send us a picture of the check right before they mail it. So we know this is already on the way. We know to be looking for this email any day. And we also know that it's due July 9th. Or 19th, I mean. So another great thing about this is, let me move you to this side. When you click on calendar, now I already have all these updated in my calendar, but when you click on calendar, it shows you all of these. Now there is a way that is super easy that I haven't nailed down the exact way to do yet, but every time I find it, it's like 3 clicks. But it takes all of these dates and it puts them directly into your Google Calendar. And that to me is wonderful because I utilize my Google Calendar all day, every day. All of our trainings are listed on there. All of the Keller Williams trainings are listed on there. The Scott Leroy ones, I believe, are now listed on the training calendar. That's where you guys should be scheduling yourselves. There's a way to, Martin, what's that appointment scheduler that you were using? Appointlet. You could have your clients schedule a time that works best for them based on your Google Calendar of when you are available, so that you don't have to be calling them constantly to see what time works for them and what time works for your schedule. They can just have a link, look at your schedule, and then talk amongst, themselves of what time works best for them, which alleviates a lot of you being on the phone and makes your time more valuable.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm really liking what you've done here, Elise. This is really super cool. You put a lot of work into this.
Here it is, the iCalendar feed. You send that link to yourself in an email. You open it up on your phone, because if you open it up on your desktop, it doesn't work right. Open it up on your phone, you click 2 buttons, and it imports into your Google account. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Quick question though. I'm glad we went there with this, because can you take and link that calendar, that transaction specifically to that agent that's on that transaction? The reason I say that is I constantly have everybody's info all the time. I don't, it's too much for me to go through the whole team stuff. Can you like send David his stuff, Rick his stuff, Max his stuff, Mark his stuff?
I'm so glad that you asked that. At the top of the page here, you can see invite. And on each checklist, I only invite the agent that is involved in it that I am working with. So like this only says EJ and DH. So it's only Elise Jenkins and David Homiser that know about this timeline and where we're set at it. I was not able to walk him through updating this with his Google Calendar, but I told him that it was possible, and that if he wasn't able to meet with this meeting, that he and I would show him how to do that. And he's already accepted my invite to be on this, so he should still be getting email notifications when things are close to due. It's just not a notification through his calendar.
Well, I'm really proud of you. You've done a good job on that. That looks really good. I don't know, maybe we have these capabilities within Command now, but I'm sure we will at some point. But for right now, that certainly will keep us on track with each transaction. So I'm real happy with, I can see you've done a lot of work on this. So thank you.
Thank you. And this template can be used by anyone. This is a public template. I can send anyone in the world a link to this. It will not link to this specific board. I have it linked to a blank one that's just the cards, not any information that, would be in-house. But I could send that to anyone. So
and we're not paying for this, right? This is free so far.
Right. If we wanted to pay for it, there is not a way to just pay for my account. We would have to pay for the entire team. And that's $13 per person per month. Yeah. No way.
So,
can I just ask, Elise, and you may have covered this and I missed it, why does it say heads up your Trello account is managed by KWRI?
That is because I used my KW email for this, and they sent me a notification last week that this is brand new. This just showed up today. But because that's registered with KellerWilliams.com, they are admin to my Trello account now. because it's their web address that is the end of my email. If I would have used my Gmail account, that wouldn't be on there.
Huh, interesting.
I know. I was
You think-
like, oh, okay, well, they're admin to everything else I have, so whatever.
Martin, do you see that as a problem? Should we back off of this, you think?
I don't see it as a problem unless y'all start having an issue with somebody moving your stuff around.
And so
Oh.
far that hasn't happened, and if it does, I will promptly have a panic attack and then find a solution.
I'll tell you where I saw this utilized first time, Martin, was through Kelly Hager. She used to be John Davis's buddy. She had an office in St. Louis, and she had the whole office, 50 agents and their KW agents that she was utilizing this up on a big screen. And I thought it might help us, give notifications. So that's why we went with this.
I can tell you that it's already helping me just with the fact that I can press this wonderful home button on the right side, and it shows me all of my boards, but there used to be a spot. Maybe it's boards. No. Okay. Well, sometimes it also takes you to a spot that shows what's currently due, and this is probably not taking me to that because I don't have anything due within the next 2 days. But if I have something that's coming up on a due date, it will flash that card in front of me like several times. It will make itself a dominant figure in my online life. So before we end this call, I wanted to make sure that our team members, especially that work with me on a daily basis, and I'm so very thankful for all of you putting up with me trying to iron out how I'm going to keep track of all you guys just blowing up the real estate world out there, because it is overwhelming to be on the back end of and try to keep track of all of these dates and remember what's where and when. But I'm really glad that we have this program and that Tiffany found it, because it's going to keep all of us on track, especially those of us that are new to the world of real estate. I know Mark and David and I are definitely still learning what our roles are, and I think this is going to help us look like rock stars, when we start going through more deals on our own. So I wanted to make sure that everybody saw what this is, because every new deal that we get from now on is going to be in this. You will be getting invites to this, and if you have any questions about it, we will cover it more. Don't ever hesitate to ask me questions about it. If anything, your questions will prompt me to learn something from this program if I don't already know it.
That's great. Thanks, Elise. Do we have time to open up? We got 10 minutes left. Let's open this up to some command questions here with specifically with DocuSign and building your rooms. If anybody has any questions, Dan, Dustin, Rick, this is Mark. Go ahead and let's ask them now.
Real quick, there's one more thing that I wanted to show you in Command. There is this wonderful button called Timeline. Under Timeline, you can see who has accessed what in the entire history of a transaction. So if you're having a problem where, gosh, I swear I submitted this, blah, 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 the button looks like it's been submitted, you can go back in through this and see what was uploaded when you submitted that document. If it was submitted before, if you had uploaded the document before you submitted to MC, or vice versa. Usually if you submit a document after you've submitted to MC, it will automatically include that in what she can look at. But there may be times that she had already reviewed all of it and you just forgot to press that button. And you need to know before you start telling people, hey, why haven't you gotten to this, so you don't look like a dummy when Karen looks at you and says because you didn't submit it, which I'm not saying that's happened to me more than once, but it's definitely happened to me more than once. So here's a way to double check yourself before you go running your mouth if your name's Elise. Okay, now we're ready for questions.
All right, Lee, so real quickly, just to show everybody how to go back to documents real quick.
Okay.
So for anyone, if you were creating a transaction, you would have put your client in, then you would have selected that you added them to a transaction, and then now you'd be in the documents, and you go back to your go to transaction. And then you would hit the add button. This is where you would get, Tiffany, where you were talking about where you would get your DocuSign forms if you're going to use DocuSign. So you would click on that DocuSign forms.
So the reason that we're not doing this is because I don't have numbers and Tiffany's isn't set up correctly. So we can't actually pull up documents.
So what normally is here is 2 lists of selections, either KW 971 under the association, usually I think is where that's around there, but that's about the spot where it would be. And there would be underneath that would be, what do they call it?
The
Missouri.
BGAR forms.
Yeah, Missouri forms. And that's where we get our forms from. You select the form that you want, fill out the form, and when the form's totally complete and saved, that's when you can back up to where she was prior to add that completed document to.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Dustin. You're exactly right.
Now, I will say when you're in command, when next to go to transaction, this sync transaction, to my knowledge, that is not to sync documents. That is to sync information from the seller profile with DocuSign.
Hey, Martin, that's what I was talking to you about yesterday, is that the sync transaction, what we were finding is we weren't syncing documents, we were only syncing information. Did you find out anything additional on that?
You're muted.
Yeah, I'm muted. I didn't get a chance to play around in yours yesterday afternoon. In fact, I meant to text you because I needed your login to get me into the DocuSign side of things. Because when it took me to the second thing, it wanted me to log into it, and I didn't know your login. So sorry about that, Coach.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah. So you're talking about if there's already documents in there, it doesn't sync the documents over to the room.
Yeah, that's part of what our problem was last week. Is we had stuff in both places, as you know. And that sync, it only syncs from what we're finding out. And I'd love it if you found out something different, where it's only syncing information and not the documents. And I had trouble with syncing .loop anyways. Prior, it's always an address issue when it goes to do that. So yeah, I mean, I'll get my login info to you on that one.
Now, when you have docs in there, though, will it still allow you to pull them over by clicking the attach multiple files and then opening the thing and selecting all the files you want to pull over?
I don't.
So at least click the DocuSign button there. So in theory, either if you're with .loop.
Oh, I didn't know this existed.
Yes. So if you're with .loop or DocuSign, whatever, at least scroll back to the top for me real quick. See where DocuSign is. If you started it in .loop, it would say .loop instead of DocuSign. But one way or the other, it'll open up and connect to that. If you started your transaction from command, it'll connect you to that and give you the option to pull any document out of there. You can select them all and then click attach.
Perfect.
So not quite as easy as a sync button, but
Still,
you know, should be relatively quick.
So for those of you that didn't see, I snuck a document into DocuSign real quick. I just uploaded from my computer so that we would have something in that room to see. So what he's saying is that we'll be able to do a drop down right here, and a whole list of all of the documents that are in that room, or the loop, if it's through .loop, will be here. We can select each individual document. You know, if we have a seller's disclosure too, we could upload that, a water and well, and then you can upload all of these at one time by pressing attach. And we can see that I have a measurement disclaimer on like everything on this transaction.
Elise, can you back up for just a second? Because I was talking to Martin. How did you get to that where you could attach? Oh, attach. Okay, that's what I needed to see. All right.
So then, because we now have documents to upload, we would submit to MC. Yes, we are ready to submit. Now, those of you that are on our team, I submit as soon as we get a signed contract with signed disclosures. As soon as we get that in, I send this to MC along with my, hi, I'm Elise Jenkins. I'm the admin for Team Surveyant. I'll be assisting with this closing email, which I always copy you guys on so that you know that I've introduced myself. Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions? We're getting close to time here, and I don't want to take anybody else have a pertinent question that they're having trouble struggling with right now? Well, if not, well, I'm gonna, what, Rick? I think we've solved a problem here today, Martin and Elise. I think we've found a dot loop workaround. Dustin, I appreciate your input today, and we're just gonna keep going over all of this. I think Jordan has a class she's teaching. When is that? Does anybody know? Is that today?
Tomorrow.
Thursday, 11 to 12? Is that what it is?
I'll have to, I don't know. I think it changed times because it got switched to Zoom instead of in person.
Well, we're going to do, we'll send a reminder for that. And this is even, you know, Dustin, you've got this under control, it sounds like. But everybody else, we're all kind of struggling with it. Let's make every opportunity to take advantage of this YouTube channel, the Keller Williams Lake of the Ozarks Realty. Let's do that. And then let's make every opportunity to get on these trainings till we get this mastered, because it's hard to grab somebody in the midst of all of this and say, hey, I need help with this, or I need help with that. So if we all get this mastered by watching Marty Miller, he had a teaching yesterday where we could ask him questions. We're trying to get a calendar. We're going to share, we've sent out some links to this calendar. It's going to have all the KW trainings on there, all of our office trainings, corporate, Scott Leroy trainings. It's all going to be in one place. So each day, guys, I want you to look at your calendar and you'll say, oh, wait, this is going to be a training I need to know. We're trying to have a link on there. If there's not a link, we will tell you how to get to it. But there's going to, every single day, when you look at your calendar now, you will know what's going on and where you can plug in. And that will help all of us work on performance, because we'll have the fundamental, you'll be doing the fundamentals back, you know, at home at night. So if there's any other questions, without any other questions, I'm going to let you guys go. And I want to thank everybody for being here today. Martin, you have something?
Coach, I just want to commend you and your team for continuing to dive in hard to make yourself better on the technology. You guys are working hard, and we're seeing a lot of positives. I know we're still finding that we run into some walls, but we're learning how to get around them. And you guys' commitment to your business and to making this better is going to pay off. And I think you guys have even seen the payoff in your business now from the work you started doing a few months ago when you committed to this. So I really want to commend you guys for diving in hard, and thank you for your patience. And thanks to Elise for teaching this. You know, guys, the other thing I just want to encourage you is practice this. Don't be afraid to go into Command and create a dummy client and a dummy deal and take it all through the steps and send it to yourself. There's zero reason not to. Your computer won't blow up. Keller Williams International won't fall down in Austin. And more importantly, you can't break Command because it's already broken sometimes, right? So get in there and try to practice it, because I can tell you guys, so many of these things, if you'll just work through it once or twice in an imaginary setting, you'll be more comfortable. What happens when we wait until we have a deal to try to learn this is the pressure of getting paid is what's weighing on our mind and kind of puts blinders on us, like, oh, I got to figure this out. Don't wait till you're under pressure. Instead, go practice it right now. So great job to you guys. Coach, you're doing an excellent job with your team and with your coaching clients. I couldn't be prouder of you. So thank you very much for letting me sit in and listen to you guys train this morning.
I appreciate your help and your input. Thank you, Elise, and thank you, Martin, and thank you guys for being here. And David couldn't be here. He's going to watch it by YouTube. And some had internet issues. They've been bouncing off and on and sending me texts. So everybody was participating. So I'm so proud of everybody for digging in. So thank you so much. And we'll talk to you all later.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
All right, bye.
Martin,
All right.
when I end this, it's gonna close out, so you'll have to open a new one.